God near. Having God near, there's something in that. It kind of goes back to when I was staying with my two big brothers. School starts in September, and they kind of walk us to the bus stop. And they did this literally. They walk us to the bus stop so people could see, hey, they got two big brothers. Just to let you kids on this bus know. Kind of to lay down the rules. They didn't have to say anything. They just walk around. And my older brother, Elmer, used to take his shirt off. I don't know why he fought like that. He would take his shirt off. And he just, would walk around. All right, we'll see you guys at 3:30. All right, big brother. Yes, my big brother. That's him. And at that point, what did I have to fear? Everybody on that bus knew, well, we better make friends with them. Why? I got a big brother. This is what is so powerful about us not having to fear. Because God promised he would never leave us. And then this idea of the rod and the staff. So powerful. It is with the rod that he chastens us. And we're told that God chastens only those that he loves. Only those that he loves. If he does not love you, he is not going to correct the thing you're doing. You're on the path of destruction. But because he loves us, he chastens us, and that's what the rod symbolizes, discipline. We all need discipline in our lives. We all need discipline. We live in a society that everybody's going, I want. Everybody has a handout. We need discipline more than anything. And man, we need it in the church too. We get to the point where we're not thankful for the things that we have, and we just still want more. We always want more. If somebody told us that more was better, more is never better. We need discipline. And then the staff. The staff shows authority. So the rod stands for discipline. The staff stands for authority. Think about Moses in Egypt. And Moses, you remember all the things he did with his staff? When he first came in and Pharaoh's guys threw those two snakes down, and he threw his staff down, it turned into a bigger snake and ate those other two snakes. Same staff that he stuck in the Nile River and then it turns to blood. Same staff that separates the Red Sea. Boy, I bet they were glad when they saw Moses come with that staff. Moses has a staff. We're good now. I am totally comforted he has staff. I thought about in this, how many of you are old enough to remember karate movies of the 70s? Say handful of you guys. I was a Bruce Lee fan back then. And there was an episode where you guys are too young to remember him in the 70s. You probably saw the DVDs or something. But if you ever saw Bruce Lee fight, oh my gosh, it was an art to it. And if he had these nunchucks, the two sticks with the chain, it didn't matter how many people he was fighting. He's got the nunchucks. That's like the staff. When you see him whip out the nunchucks, all bets are off. It's over. Bruce Lee is getting ready to do some stuff, and oh my gosh, it was gorgeous. But the children of Israel, seeing everything that Moses did with this staff, they had to be comforted by it. It's the same staff, or a staff of authority, that comforts us today, and it surrounds us, it comforts us. Now, verse 5 says, Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies. I love this part, because this is a necessity. This has to be done. It reminds me of the story of Mephibosheth. Remember, Mephibosheth was King Saul's grandson, Jonathan's son, and had a club foot, and he was the only one that was alive from the bloodline of the king, and by the right of that culture, he was supposed to be killed because he would have heir to the bloodline of that throne. Now, the interesting thing is there's no way in the world that Mephibosheth could have ever been king because he was handicapped, and you know how they were pretty biased with handicapped kids. So, he was alive, though. And one day, Jonathan and David had this great relationship, and because of their relationship, David said, are there any more of his kin left? And they said, yeah, a little crippled kid named Mephibosheth. He's an adult now, and he's hiding out in the far country. David says, go get him and bring him here. Now, the interesting thing is, what David does is he invites Mephibosheth to come and eat at his table. He invites Mephibosheth to come and eat at his table. And that wasn't enough. Already, that's a huge honor. This guy that was a castaway and in hiding has now been brought to the king's table, and he eats with the king every day. That's huge. But then he gave Mephibosheth all the land that Saul had at the time of his reign. Now David had multiplied that kingdom 100-fold. but he gave Mephibosheth what he would have gotten if he could have been king. Ooh, I wish I had a church to preach to this morning. Listen to what I'm saying. David represents God in this case. Jonathan represents Jesus Christ, and we are Mephibosheth. Because of the relationship between Jonathan and David, or God the Father and God the Son, we get to be invited to this table. You're invited to this table. You don't just come to this table, you're invited. This is for those who have been washed in the blood of the Lamb. You didn't earn a way to this table, you were invited there. It's a privilege to be at this table. That's where Mephibosheth was. He didn't deserve to be at the king's table. He deserved death. Sound familiar? He deserved death, but he didn't get death. He got to sit at the king's table because of grace. Oh my gosh. Mephibosheth's story is a story about Clyde Mayberry. That's a story about Clyde Mayberry. Clyde Mayberry deserved absolutely zero, goose egg, nilch, zilch. He didn't deserve a thing. And by the grace of God, he's able to sit at the king's table. That's the first thing about the king's table. Then here's the other part. It's in the presence of the enemy. What do you think? As Mephibosheth was an outcast, nobody did, and they treated him like a cripple. He was not treated fairly. Back then, they treated cripples worse than we treat them now. So what do you think the difference in his relationship was with those people when they knew he was going to eat at the king's table every day? See how the relationship changed? Now, they can't treat him like that anymore. The relationship instantly changes. You can't treat him any kind of way now. He's sitting at the king's table. He looks in the king's face every day, and he'll tell. You do not, if David had a reputation back then, you did not mess with anybody on David's side. So now his relationship with everybody changes. Well, let me tell you, when we sit around this table, God left this prepared for us to tell Satan, hands off. These are my people. You don't touch my people. I control what you do to my people. You are powerless in here. Or, the way Jesus said is even better, the gates of hell will not prevail against it. These are all great shouting points. We'd be hollering and dancing. Like, woo! Thank you. If you really understand the relationship, and that's why it's a necessity to be invited to a table in the presence of your enemies. Remember that prodigal son? When he came home, the fatted calf was killed, and his brother was his enemy and was complaining and wouldn't even go into the ceremony. The dad went out to fix that relationship. He didn't change the ceremony. It was still a celebration going on, music and dancing and everything. Because his son was dead and now he's alive. He was lost and now he's found. But his brother, who was his enemy, wanted to remember, hey, he went out and wasted all his money with harlots. How do you know that? You won't even help me, Dad, but you're helping him. Look what you're doing. It's unfair. No. Being invited to that table shows a different relationship, a newer relationship, because of the relationship you have with God. Let's move on quickly. Anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over. My time's running over, so I don't have time to. I really could give you something with those, but I know you guys got beans on at home. All right. Verse 6 is the most powerful verse that sums it all up, but I need you to visually see this because it is so powerful. I need you to visually see this. Joe and Thomas, come here, please. Calvin, Clark, come here. Don, come here. Come on, you guys, you're making the sermon longer. All right. Turn this way. This is my shepherd. I shall not want. Because he makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. You get it? Yea, though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, because he's with me. My rod and my staff, the rod and the staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely, there, stay there. Walk forward. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord. I say goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I'll dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I want you to see this. So when you look at this, we talk about the 23rd Psalm. Where's my God? When they talk about the 23rd Psalm, I am completely covered from the front, on the sides, and in the back.